Professional wrestling returns to TNT for the first time since 2001. It's a monumental night in the history of our business. And All Elite Wrestling is loading up the card for their debut on TNT. CODY meets Sammy Guevara. Hangman Page squares off with Pac. The first ever AEW Women's Champion is crowned when Nyla Rose goes one-on-one with Riho. And Chris Jericho teams with Santana and Ortiz in six-man action against Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. This is AEW Dynamite, the debut episode on TNT. Let's break it down. Alright guys, it is October 2nd, 2019. This is the debut episode of AEW Dynamite on TNT, and this is the JtoZ TV Pro Wrestling Breakdown right here in the Pro Wrestling Control Center. We're bringing you another one of our critically acclaimed Pro Wrestling Breakdown videos, guys. This was a big show, and I can't wait to tackle this one here. JtoZ TV Dad. And we are about to get into AEW Dynamite. Let's not waste another second, guys. Let's get right into the show. Like I said, October 2nd, 2019, Washington, D.C. is going to be the venue for the action tonight. And our hosts are going to be Jim Ross, Excalibur, and Tony Schiavone. Right off the bat, the setup looks absolutely great, guys. The crowd is hot. We've got AEW chants ringing out throughout the venue, and the building looks great. I really like the AEW Dynamite color scheme. It's very colorful, a little bit different for a pro wrestling show to take on a look like this. I'm a fan of it, guys. And right off the bat, I am absolutely so happy that Tony Schiavone is back. This is the voice of my wrestling childhood. I gotta say, it's gotta be pretty awesome to be a lapsed fan that hasn't watched wrestling since maybe 2001. You're flipping through the channels, you know what I mean? You haven't been following the business, you're just flipping through the channels, and then you stop on TNT because what the heck, pro wrestling is on TNT? What year is this, 2001? And you hear Tony Schiavone, the voice of WCW, and then you hear in the next sentence, the voice of the WWF Attitude Era, Jim Ross. You've got these two guys in the same company on the same table. That's a brilliant move, whoever put that one together. I have a feeling it was maybe CODY or Tony Khan that got that one going. Amazing. I love it. And you know what, guys? Excalibur doing play-by-play. He's absolutely phenomenal. One of the best in the business. Second to maybe only Mauro Ranallo. And adding Tony Schiavone instantly tightened up the announce team. It's exactly what they needed. It's the missing ingredient. It's the best the announce team has sounded since AEW has started. I'm glad they got Tony Schiavone. Alright, we are going to kick the night off, guys. One-on-one action. CODY with Brandy Rhodes in his corner. He's going to take on Sammy Guevara in our opening contest. That panda head wearing Sammy Guevara. Let's get right to it. The crowd just adores CODY, guys, and they go absolutely nuts for him from the get-go. It is a hero's reaction, and rightfully so. We got CODY to thank for AEW, guys. The crowd is really into everything these guys do from the beginning, right from the opening bell, and they put on a pretty tight matchup here, well put together, and they actually get a good amount of time here. CODY is going to end up getting hitting a nice springboard cutter, which I've never seen him use. Nice springboard cutter at one point. And then they're going to utilize a nice little bit of continuity because Sammy Guevara is going to fire back with his own springboard cutter. So you got a little game of one-upsmanship going on there. They're going to do a spot where CODY goes for a suicide dive onto Sammy Guevara on the floor, and Sammy's going to just grab Brandy and pull her right into the way, using her as a human shield, if you will. And CODY is going to totally wipe out Brandy. Back of her head is going to collide with the guardrail right in front of Jay and Silent Bob. That's an actual sentence that I just said. Isn't that kind of strange? I never thought I would say Cody Rhodes just wiped his wife out right in front of Jay and Silent Bob in the front row. At a wrestling show on TNT in the year 2019. Yeah, that's a weird sentence. I never thought I'd say that. More on Jason Mewes and Kevin Smith later because they are sitting in the front row. Back inside in the ring, Sammy Guevara is going to go for a shooting star press off the top rope. Cody's going to get the knees up to block, and then he's going to cradle Sammy for the 1, 2, 3. Cody picks up the victory. We got that's a solid opener, guys. Solid opening match with a molten hot crowd. 3 1/4 star. And now we're going to get right to the post-match shenanigans, guys, because Tony Schiavone's going to get right into the ring. He's going to try to get a word with Cody. It's actually, I love that little tidbit there. It's super cool and different from a production standpoint. WWE doesn't really do post-match interviews at all anymore. Once in a while, you might see Charlie Caruso in the ring. But I like that they had Tony get in the ring to interview the talent after the match. It's a really subtle throwback. Mean Gene Okerlund used to do this all of the time on Nitro especially. So it's a really cool little production thing that they brought back. Cody and Tony are going to end up hugging for a minute there in a really cool moment. Of course, Cody's dad, Dusty Rhodes, got Tony started in the business. Tony Schiavone started in the business. And Dusty was like a mentor to Tony for many years. So it's really cool to see these two guys. They genuinely have a good, solid friendship. They're hugging in the ring. What a moment for the two of them on TNT again. So Tony and Cody are going to end up hugging. And then Guevara is going to end up interrupting Cody to offer him a handshake. That's a setup, you guys. Because Chris Jericho is going to show up. The Ayatollah of Rock and Rolla. He's going to show up out of nowhere and attack Cody from behind. Remember, Cody has that title shot against Chris Jericho for the AEW World Championship at Full Gear in November. Jericho's going to end up hitting Cody with the title belt. And then I thought I was watching the movie They Live with Roddy Piper for a minute because Jericho continues to beat on Cody through the entire commercial break. This is the beatdown that never ends. TNT takes a picture-in-picture commercial break. So during the entire break, you can see in a small little window on the screen that Jericho is just continuing to beat Cody down all over ringside. We come back from the break. Basically, I bet Eric Bischoff wished that he had picture-in-picture back in the day with Nitro going against Raw, because if they had picture-in-picture back in the day, there's a lot of little dirty things Bischoff could have done to try to hold on to the viewership to prevent them from switching over to Raw. But this was a good little trick to prevent people from switching over to NXT, because at the time NXT was countering with the Adam Cole, Matt Riddle NXT World Championship match. So smart bit by All Elite Wrestling there to try to hold on to their audience. We're back, and Jericho is going to he's going to set up 2 steel chairs on the floor, and he's going to powerbomb Cody right onto these 2 open chairs. They don't give at all. I mean, they're padded, but still, it doesn't look like there's any give to these chairs as Jericho powerbombs Cody onto them. Ouch. Indeed. Alright, guys, we are moving on. The second match of the night, you're going to get Maxwell Jacob Friedman. MJF is taking on Brandon Cutler. These guys heated up they built up this match a little bit on Twitter, heating things up with MJF basically calling out Cutler for being a dork and playing Dungeons and Dragons, and Brandon Cutler basically holding on to that Dungeons and Dragons fandom and basically flaunting it to the world, saying he's proud of it, and he's actually gotten some mainstream coverage for doing so. So we're going to get right into the action, guys. MJF is going to get some promo time prior to the match on his way to the ring, and he's going to do what MJF does best, and that's get cheap heat on the crowd. He's absolutely great at that, of course. Lots of heat for MJF as he rips on the crowd for being poor. He's a great heel. Great heel. He's got a lot of potential. We'll see if his in-ring stuff can hang up, but we'll see if his in-ring stuff can hold up, because as far as his character goes, he's got all the character work down. in-ring stuff needs to come together. And then you're going to have a total package there, and he's still really young, so there's, like I said, untapped potential, unlimited potential. MJF is going to be a big deal. There's not much to this match, though. They go a couple minutes, and then Cutler's going to end up slipping off the ropes at the end. It looks like he injures his knee or his ankle or something, and they're going to go right into the finish. So it looked like something got botched here, but MJF is going to lock in an armbar, which I think he calls the salt of the earth. We're going to get a submission at only 2 minutes and 59 seconds. That's unrateable. We're going to go a dud on that one. It's just unrateable. So hopefully Brandon Cutler is okay. We're going to head to ringside next because Chris Van Vliet is going to interview Kevin Smith. And Jason Mewes, Jay and Silent Bob are at ringside. And they're here to promote Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, which is out in October, I think. I can't wait for that movie. I'm a big Jay and Silent Bob fan. Jay and Silent Bob Reboot also features Chris Jericho in a villain role, which is really, really cool. Like I said, I'm a massive Kevin Smith fan ever since I was a teenager. I've seen all the movies. Chasing Amy, Clerks, Clerks 2, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, even Tusk and Yoga Hosers. I'm a massive Kevin Smith fan, guys. I even like Jersey Girl. Yeah. So, anyway, Jack Evans and Angelico are going to interrupt. And Jack Evans is going to get the line of the night in by telling Mewes that Morris Day and the time suck. And in true Jay fashion, Jason Mewes is going to basically act like he's going to come over the guardrail. Like Jack Evans said the most disrespectful thing in the world by going after Morris Day and the time. You just don't do that. If you guys have seen Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. So this was a great line by Jack Evans to play off of the Morris Day and the timeline from Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. It's awesome stuff. Jason Mewes basically tells Jack Evans and Angelico that they need to focus on winning a match because they haven't done that yet. Private Party's going to show up for some reason. Okay? Kind of a weird, pointless segment, but I did enjoy seeing Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes on a wrestling show, so... We're going to go next to SoCal Uncensored are at the White House cosplaying with Scorpio Sky doing an Obama impression, and Daniels and Kazarian are dressed like Secret Service agents. This is the worst town they've ever been in, you see. So we're going to go. Tony Schiavone is now on the stage with SoCal Uncensored, which is kind of a cool little tidbit because if you guys recall, Mean Gene Okerlund also used to do interview segments on Nitro and right in front of the entranceway, just similar to this. So a very similar aesthetic look there. I'm glad that they brought that back because WWE doesn't do anything like that either. They just do the backstage interviews. So why not do everything out in the arena in front of the people? I love it. Tony's interviewing SCU, and basically Scorpio Sky says that Kazarian and Daniels are going to be the team that they're going to roll with in the tag team title tournament because they've got the experience. So he says he's going to sit this one out. That tag team title tournament does start next week on AEW Dynamite. The Lucha Bros are going to interrupt, and this is basically Pentagon Jr. and Skinny Jeans just totally killed the gimmick for me. It just did. Yeah, you see a skeleton wearing skinny jeans, and it's kind of weird. A brawl is going to ensue, and Atlas Security is going to show up. They're really good. I mean, they're on top of this brawl as soon as it gets started. But Atlas Security is going to pour out to break things up, and including you got Aubrey Edwards leading the officials out there to break things up, and she's going to be screaming right in Christopher Daniels' face, which is kind of entertaining. All right, next up. It's a match that we were promised at Double or Nothing. We're getting it now. It's Pac going one-on-one with Hangman Page. This is the match, like I said, that we should have gotten at Double or Nothing. Of course, there were some visa issues, or maybe issues with Pac wanting to do the job or not for Hangman. Regardless, we're here now. Pac and Hangman on the first episode of AEW Dynamite. These two guys are going to set the pace they're going to set the pace quickly right out of the gate. They're going right at it, trading big moves. Pac is going to be his usual impressive self here, putting on a super, super solid performance. But Hangman Page is going to be the one that really shines through here. This is the best that he's looked in AEW so far. He hangs with Pac every step of the way, and he comes off looking like a big star. This is probably the performance that he should have had against Chris Jericho, but regardless, he pulls out a great match here with Pac. These guys are going to go about 13 minutes. Solid stuff. Hangman really, really shined towards the end of the match here when he started to fire up, and he made an absolutely perfect babyface comeback. And then Pac is going to play into his miserable heel roll absolutely perfectly. He's phenomenal at that. Pac's going to end up blocking the buckshot lariat at the end of the match with a low blow, and he follows up with the black arrow, and he locks in the brutalizer. Hangman Page is going to go out almost immediately, and that is it, guys. Check out this match. I really, really enjoyed this match. 3 3/4 stars. They're really, really going out of their way, AEW is, to get that brutalizer over as a killer. If you guys remember Pac, when he locked it in on Kenny at All Out, it was like Kenny was out instantaneously. I can't remember a move in wrestling where it's always like when the heel gets a submission hold on a babyface, the babyface always fights it a little bit before they tap out or whatever. That's not the case here. I've never seen a submission hold put over in wrestling quite like this. So the fact that as soon as Pac gets that thing on, you're out instantaneously, that's how you get a move over. So they're doing a great job of getting Pac over as a heel too. I loved this match. Pac is super, super special, and he is absolutely top star material. Great match, especially for TV. Dr. Britt Baker is going to join JR, Excalibur, and Tony Schiavone on commentary. And I just want to know why. Oh, no. I'm not a big fan of the dentist girl. Okay, and actually, I don't know why they had her on commentary, because she absolutely doesn't even say anything throughout the match. She doesn't add anything. If she was in the WWE, she would have had Vince just screaming in her ear the entire time she was sitting there on commentary. She doesn't say anything, and she actually has a salty comment at the end about, she says something like, I hope I'm never up here again, I need to be in the ring. So, I don't know, Dr. Britt Baker rubs me the wrong way. I'm not a big fan of hers, so. We're going to get to the AEW Women's Championship match. The first ever champion is going to be crowned right here tonight. Nyla Rose is going one-on-one with Riho. This feels like a super, super big deal, and the fans are absolutely into it. And hey, you know what? I just noticed WWE Kool-Aid guy, you know, that guy with the bright lime green shirt that's always sitting in the front row in almost every single show. He's sitting in the same spot opposite the hard cam. He's here in AEW almost in the exact same seat. So I was talking with my wife, and we pretty much think that he's got to have a job with a ticket brokerage or something in order to get the same seat nearly every time, especially now when he's doing it with other wrestling companies. So somebody let us know in the comments down below, or Kool-Aid guy yourself, if you're watching this, let us know how do you make that magic happen, man? You get that same seat every time. Alright, guys, Riho is going to fire up almost immediately, and then the two women are going to actually settle into the usual big-small pro wrestling formula. And really, did anyone expect anything differently with these two? I think that's what we all thought, how we all thought that the story was going to go in this match with these two. And they do a very good job of telling that story with the size difference. Nyla Rose impressed me here. She does a really good job as the monster in the match. You have to be careful when you're a monster like she is when you're working with somebody smaller, because you don't want to totally eat your opponent up basically and kill them off. So what Nia does here is she doesn't totally eat Riho up, which would, like I said, which would kill her. Nyla is smart about giving Riho little hope spots here and there sprinkled throughout, and she does that to keep Riho alive. At the same time, it works because Riho is masterful at selling. It's like totally on another level as far as evoking sympathy goes. Just the way that she sells, but she keeps herself big also. She doesn't manage to sell so much that you don't believe her comebacks. And she's smart about timing her comebacks in such a way. They're just timed perfectly here. Nia gives her little hope spots, and Riho fires up and fires back like the best of them here. The more I see Riho, the more I put her up there with Kairi Sane as one of the absolute best baby faces in all of pro wrestling. They're selling in the way that they evoke sympathy with the way that they sell. It's like some Shawn Michaels stuff. Absolutely. Their facial expressions, the whole deal, it's just so believable when they're selling. There's going to be a spot here. They actually blow a spot where it looks like Riho tries to backdrop Nyla out of a powerbomb attempt, and Nyla's just going to fall right on top of Riho. Some people might have criticized that botch, but I think that you throw a botch in like that, especially in a match that's playing out like this, and then all it does is add to the realism of the match. Because it's not everything is going to be 100% perfect, crisp, and pretty in a real legitimate fight. So when you botch something here and there, it kind of adds to the legitimacy of the fight. It makes it a little bit more believable, and I thought that this spot here did that. There's a crazy spot where Nyla Rose is going to end up grabbing a bunch of steel chairs from under the ring, and she stacks them up on the floor, sets Riho up on top of the chairs, climbs up onto the ring apron, and attempts a somersault senton off the apron. Riho is going to move out of the way, and Nyla takes a pretty impressive bump off the apron to the floor, onto that pile of chairs, right onto her back. Impressive spot. And you know what? At first, I kind of didn't like that spot because I thought the match didn't need it. But the more that I thought about it, the more I liked it because it fed into making it more believable when Riho makes her comeback. You just have Riho fire up normally, and it's going to be a little unbelievable that she can come back on such a monster when she's been destroyed the whole match. So you have Riho slip on a very significant banana peel like this, and figurative banana peel like this, and Riho, it makes her comeback a little bit more believable and easier to digest, if you will. Nyla Rose is going to end up firing back, though, with a sick Death Valley driver. That's got to be it. 1, 2, no, 2.999. Rio's going to kick out. That was an absolutely believable near fall, and the fans bid on it, too. Rio's going to end up cutting Nyla Rose off as Nyla goes to the top rope. She's going to crotch her up on that top rope. And then she just transforms into the epitome of babyface fire. Hashtag babyface fired in the comments down below right now, guys. You know I love that babyface fire. But Riho is going to just unload with babyface fire just on that top rope with forearms galore to the face of Nyla Rose. And then she's going to hit an avalanche Northern Lights suplex right off the top rope. I don't know if I've ever seen that before. That's got to be it. 1, 2, but Nyla gets the shoulder up. This is another impressive near fall. Double knees is going to miss from Riho. But she's going to manage to hit a basement dropkick that puts Nyla back on the mat. And then Riho connects with the double knees finally. 1, 2, 3. Riho is your first ever AEW Women's Champion, and the building absolutely explodes. I actually ended up getting a little emotional because I didn't expect Riho to actually pull this one off. I didn't think that they'd actually put her over. Nor did I expect that kind of reaction to her win and the match. The fans really did make this match with all the heat that they put into this thing. The atmosphere was really impressive. These two played the big monster, small babyface, small plucky underdog babyface role formula to a T. Their timing was on. Nyla Rose impressed the heck out of me too. I like this match. The more that I thought about it later on after the initial viewing, 3 3/4 of a star. We're going to get more post-match shenanigans as Michael Nakazawa is going to inexplicably try to interview Riho. He is a wrestler, not an interviewer, but I guess he's the only one that maybe speaks Japanese that can translate for her. So he's going to try to get a word with Riho. Nyla's going to attack after the match, though. She attacks both of them. Seriously, they just did this angle, this trope earlier in the night with Jericho attacking CODY when Tony tried to interview him. And then even when Tony tried to interview SCU, a brawl broke out. So, yeah, maybe lay off the attack during the interview segments a little bit and try something new. Maybe have an interview actually just play out normally. So, otherwise, what, we just going to expect every interview is going to degenerate into a brawl of some kind? You have to throw in a normal interview here and there in order to break that expectation a little bit. But hopefully they get away from that next week. Nyla's going to end up trying to powerbomb Michael Nakazawa, and she almost drops him right on his head. It looks almost exactly like what Brock Lesnar did to Hardcore Holly back on SmackDown in 2002 when Brock botched a powerbomb and broke Bob Holly's neck by dropping him right on top of his head. I almost thought that was going to happen here, but Nyla ends up powering Nakazawa up and dropping him with a powerbomb. She's going to try to beat down Riho, but Kenny Omega out of nowhere is going to hit the ring to save his mixed tag team partner. Cool little moment there, and it was a nice little way to give Riho the rub from Kenny while also putting some more heat on Nyla and keeping her strong. Impressive segment, guys. And now, this is what we all came here to see. It's the main event. Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks taking on the AEW World Champion Chris Jericho and his tag team partners, the former LAX, Santana and Ortiz. It's main event time, guys. The atmosphere is popping here. Jericho is going to get the heat right away by teasing that he's going to get in the ring and square off with Kenny. But he's going to end up turning around and quickly tagging out. That's an old school move there to get some heat. Old professional and Mr. Jericho there. Everybody's going to end up on the floor very early on. The Young Bucks are going to hit suicide dives onto everybody. Kenny is going to prep for the rise of the Terminator. The crowd starts stirring, though, as Kenny's getting ready to rise. And Jon Moxley appears in the ring behind Kenny in a really, really cool visual because Kenny realizes the crowd is reacting to something. He knows somebody's behind him. He slowly turns around and Moxley just explodes on him with forearms. These two guys are going at it. That feud is not done yet. They're going to meet at Full Gear. These two are exchanging blows. They brawl all the way out through the crowd. They're going to end up hitting each other with a mop. Get it? Because Kenny's the cleaner. Nice little throwback there. They end up fighting to a VIP area where it's got like a couch and a glass coffee table set up. And Moxley is going to end up driving Kenny right through that glass coffee table with the Death Rider DDT. That was absolutely insane. Awesome, unique visual, especially for wrestling. I don't think I've ever seen anybody go through a glass table in anything outside of an action movie. So very cool to give us something different. And that's not just your usual, they went through a wooden catering table or whatever. Like, this is different. I liked it. And, guys, we've still got a match going on in the ring. Matt Jackson is going to end up being your face in peril in the ring as the Young Bucks are outnumbered. He's going to take the beating here. He ends up hitting a 6 springboard twisting cutter, and then he finally gets the hot tag to his brother Nick. Nick is going to come in a house of fire, throwing kicks as he makes his comeback to a big reaction. He's firing up, guys. The Young Bucks are going for the Meltzer driver, but Jericho is going to come out of nowhere and intercept with a code breaker. Really cool, innovative spot. The former LAX is going to double whip Matt Jackson right into the Judas effect from Jericho. That's going to be it. We know the Judas effect is a killer, guys. 1, 2, 3. That is it. You got to put the champion over on your first show. As an angle and a spectacle, this was pretty awesome and tight. Although I expect there was some timing issues with the show. It looked like they kind of condensed everything and kind of started rushing. Especially after the Omega and Moxley stuff. But still, you had a hot angle with Omega and Moxley, and then the Bucks, Ortiz, and Jericho stuff all looked phenomenal, even though it was pretty short. We're going to go 3.5 stars on the first AEW Dynamite, the 6-man tag main event. But we are not done yet, guys. We got more post-match shenanigans, as we're going to get a beatdown with Jericho, Santana, and Ortiz beating down the Bucks. Until CODY hits the ring, trying to make the save. But Sammy Guevara is back out, and he's going to low blow CODY. He's not done with him yet. It's the Attitude Era all over again with all of these low blows, guys. I don't know. We had, 2 low blows in this show? That's a lot of low blows. I don't think we've seen that many in years in wrestling on one show. It's still not up to Vince Russo numbers, though. I think you watch a WCW show from 2000, Vince Russo's got low blows sprinkled throughout that whole thing. So, bro, it's good we didn't have too many low blows or swerves. But Dustin Rhodes is going to end up hitting the ring to try to make the save. And, you guys, the crowd just pops huge for Dustin. He ain't going to make the save, though, guys. Because Jake Hager is going to make his debut coming through the crowd. The former Jack Swagger hops into the ring and just attacks Dustin. Beats him down. He ends up going nuts on the Elite. Taking everybody out. He ends up powerbombing Dustin right onto the top of the Timekeeper's table that gets brought into the ring. The Timekeeper's table doesn't budge at all. Like I said, those are always the worst table spots when the table doesn't break. Jericho's going to end up hitting the Judas effect again on CODY. And then the heels are going to pile all the baby faces up in the middle of the ring. And wow, that is a very WCW way to end the show. By that I mean the absolute best peak WCW, when the NWO was hot on fire. That's pretty much how a lot of WCW Nitro episodes ended, with Hogan and the NWO just beating the WCW guys down, spray painting them in the ring. This was a very, very similar visual, so if that's what they were going for, to try to grab that lapsed WCW fan, this was a good way to do it. I mean, they didn't beat us over the head with it and have Jericho and then spray paint. I thought that's what they were going to do, but I'm glad they didn't do that. The visual was enough. Definitely reminded me of it. I wonder if Jericho, is this going to be Jericho's new stable? Are they giving Jericho this group of young guys to lead? If they are, I think that's a pretty cool idea. And guys, Jake Hager instantly felt like a major deal. He never felt this big in WWE, even after he was a world champion, but he was always treated kind of as a afterthought. So he instantly feels like a big deal coming in here, guys. And we are off the air. Alright, so what is the bottom line on the debut episode of AEW Dynamite on TNT? I've instantly been transported back to my childhood, guys. Channel flipping on Monday nights between Raw and Nitro. That's what I felt like tonight as I was jumping back and forth between NXT and AEW. This was awesome, you guys. Solid wrestling stories that were told in the ring. Isn't that a new concept, right? It's different. I mean, we haven't had stories told in the ring in a while, in a couple decades, right? Outside of New Japan. It was refreshing hearing the announce team basically not have to plug endless thing. They didn't have a ton of endless plugs that they were doing. They weren't talking about anything other than the match that we were seeing in the ring. That was refreshing. I like the presentation of the show a lot. The addition of Tony Schiavone to the announce table, wow. What an improvement that's made. He instantly tightened up JR and Excalibur. This is the team that I hope we roll with from here on out Phenomenal announcing tonight, guys. He was the missing ingredient that they needed and that the AEW presentation needed, I believe. Riho and Nyla Rose was surprisingly very, very, very good, and we had a very hot Jon Moxley angle with Kenny Omega, and then you got that post-match Jake Hager debut with the babyface beatdown and a potential heel stable. Incredibly memorable stuff, guys. I can't help but go thumbs way up for episode 1 of AEW on TNT, guys. Thumbs way up. And speaking of thumbs way up, we do hope that you will give this episode of JtoZ TV Pro Wrestling Breakdown a big thumbs up. And make sure you hit that subscribe button if this is your first time stopping by JtoZ TV. You want to become a permanent member of the JtoZ TV universe because you don't want to miss our next Pro Wrestling Breakdown video, which is coming up in just a couple of days. WWE SmackDown makes its debut on the Fox Network on Friday, and you got to know that JtoZ TV Dad will be right here back in the Pro Wrestling Control Center to break it down for you guys. Until next time, guys, I will see you once again down that aisle and through those ropes, guys. Thanks for watching. Bada bing, bada boom, bada bang.